Right.
The chat is going off about the whole Deegan thing. And sorry, Peirre. So
it's okay.
Some of the guys in the chat are even saying, like, why not let him run a number 1 plate, but with a blue background or something for the whole series. And then that way you've got like some marketing material to every broadcast. Be like, yeah, okay, the guy in 5th or the guy out front, he's got a blue number plate, but that's because he's the reigning super motocross champion. That's going to happen at the end of the year. Like, honestly, I'm not past that idea.
That sounds awesome.
I think that would be almost cool just for the reigning champions.
Let me put you guys both on the spot. When was the last time you saw a blue plate? Who ran it and what did it represent?
Ooh, that's outside of my wheelhouse.
I don't think it is. I think you know. Johnny.
No, I'm going to this.
A blue plate.
You can't see me.
That represented.
So I don't have the answer.
Okay.
David Bailey
winning
you guys
the camel.
Didn't hear that from my brother.
Winning the camel supercross, right? And we all talked about how cool that blue plate was. So like you just said, if he's World Supercross, let him run that blue plate. It brings back so much nostalgia.
Dude, I think that's an awesome idea.
It's a brilliant idea.
Yeah.
And it goes back to that. And this is where Peirre and I right now. This is where Peirre and he's listening to it live. You know that. So Peirre and I disagree. If you're Lucas Myrtle and you're marketing Hunter and Jet, and you're going out and you're getting little motorcycles, you're getting these little toys that are sitting at Target and all these big mass market distribution spots, and you have a guy that decides he's going to go change his number, which he's already aligned himself with Michael Jordan and Alpine Star's already done the Bulls gear.
Right.
And now you go and you do a complete I mean, who do we know is number 199?
Travis Pastrana.
Didn't have to mention the color.
That just won't die. I think he's got literally 199 lives. He's got a new YouTube channel out, and every time you watch it, I'm just biting my nails because I'm like, his spleen is coming out this time. And how old is Travis now?
He's got 9 lives, so he's 18.
This goes back to the whole simulation hypothesis. We are living in his world because it's Grand Theft Auto to him, and he just doesn't die. Yeah, the chat is going off. I've never seen the chat rate that high before, but no, keep going. Rob.
Yeah, but like right here, like with and I apologize, I don't know if I'm saying it right. Hernikas Camel Supercross. It was sponsored by Camel Cigarettes. It was the blue plate. David Bailey ran it. Everybody knows it. It's nostalgic. We talked about it. It's like Johnny O'Mara on the Mugen 125. We remember the white Honda. We remember the white gaiters over his boots. We have something that's never been done before, the World Supercross. I think there's very few people that are after now that it's done. Very few people have a disdain against it at any level. They think it's cool.
Yeah, it was cool.
Very cool.
As you're saying, McGrath used to run a blue and yellow.
Exactly. So now you've got a world champion who could run a number 1 plate with a blue background. It would not take away from Deegan's marketing of his name and his brand and everything else, which by the way, did you see the danger that the Thor gear did? That was kick ass.
That was
you don't think that's going to sell pretty well?
Yeah.
Okay.
But there's just the nostalgia of number 1 as a new fan. Like I hated it growing up as a kid and seeing Ricky Carmichael just own everybody and come back and forth with a constant number 4. I was like, no, this guy's my idol, even though now he's blocking me on Instagram, which still hurts my feelings. But anyway, I digress. I'm going to start crying here. Carmichael,
please. Pretty please.
Let's have a conversation.
Call me.
My whole point is I always wanted him to run the number 1 because he just knew he was the boss. And if you're trying to get new fans into this small community that is motorcycle racing, that even Lawrence said on the press conference, this is the most dangerous sport in the world.
100%.
People want to know who to vote for, and instantly, boom, number one plate. I'm voting for him because statistically, that guy's going to win.
And again, back to the marketing point, if it's a different color like blue and it's not his normal or his normal number, those who are getting into the sport and see, well, he's running a red plate, he's running a blue plate, what's the difference? It starts that conversation, and then people can say like, oh, well, did you watch, Super Motocross? No. Okay, well, now more eyes will eventually get to there because we've promoted it during the off season of Super Motocross, right? Does that make sense?
It does.
You've
and you
opened
bring
that
up,
door.
but you bring up three really important components. Deegan can now do merchandise with the number one blue plate, which looks cool. He can do his original with his amateur number, which he made a household name.
Totally.
And we're back to talking about Travis Pastrana. We didn't talk about Suzuki. We didn't talk about Red Bull. We didn't talk about Cernix. You mentioned 199. The number sticks with the person. That's why I think that Sexton needs to stick with 23.
No, but
because
he's the
if
champ.
Sexton,
He could always come back to 23.
But
yeah, but he won't. He won't, because you're never going to go to a double digit once you go single.
But again,
to Peirre, to your point, if Sexton comes out and stamps it on KTM, then that 23 is the ultimate Cinderella story of comeback history, right? So that's where I'm wondering. And again, I only go because ironically, we're talking about merchandising. Travis Pastrana, the 199, the circus, the whole 9 yards that he's promoted has always been wrapped around 199.
So yeah, and that's a very valid point. Let me just make a couple,
Contradictions.
Contradictions, if you will. So 199, Travis Pastrana raced for a little while, and then 199 turned into a freestyle number. There were no like championships that number kept on stamping on, right?
Yep.
So there's that aspect. Again, my biggest reason for the shift is because there is a negative connotation that comes with the 23, right? In my opinion, I'm sure there's plenty of Sexton fans that are like, no, it's awesome. Now, when it comes to merchandising, you bring up a very valid point, but imagine, if you will, a universe.
What don't you like about 23?
What don't I like about it?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's awesome, right? I have no issue against the number, but if he's making
what do you think the negative condemnation
that him on the Honda with the number 23 and him washing out all the time and crashing out all the time, like
it's cursed.
It's a cursed number. There's a negative. Like, look, again, I go back to my wife.
Okay,
like
I thought it was like most people don't like Michael Jordan, and I'm
not.
No.
I'm just saying.
So
in general,
I've heard he's kind of been a little bit like the Lance Armstrong. I've heard all sorts of things. Like now he's broke, which is crazy because of the whole Michael Jordan shoes and everything. But I'm not a big basketball fan. But I like the documentaries. He's got a good one on Netflix.
Think about what Peirre just said, though. And I love what you just said, Peirre. Chase Sexton won a Supercross with number 23, and all we've talked about is how he rode like shit during outdoors.
Totally.
Doesn't that show you how you're only as good as your last race? We're
100%.
not talking about the fact that he wrapped up the championship. And he could, if we were going to run a number one plate, he could come back next year with a number one plate.
Could you imagine him on a KTM though? KTM with a number one. How do you change your stars per se, like old medieval terms, right?
Yeah. But Peirre, I want you to finish your thought though, because like you're saying, your wife said, sure enough, he's going to wreck, and he wrecked.
Right. And so again, she, as much as she watches racing, she knows, hey, Chase Sexton, he's bound to go down, and sure enough, he did. Now, from the merchandising standpoint, imagine he does come out on that KTM. Imagine he does stamp a couple podiums and maybe even squeezes out a championship.
Sure.
Now everybody's going to be running out to go grab the number 4 KTM Chase Sexton, right? So
is the reigning champion an underdog, Peirre?
In Supercross?
Are you trying to get hate Like,
One-
No,
send my way.
I kind of think he is an underdog coming.
No,
Oh,
into
he's
the-
100% an
He is the
underdog.
underdog. Yeah.
100%. There isn't
And how
one
crazy is
person-
that the champion is the underdog?
Because the
Yeah.
champion didn't win the
I didn't even feel
championship.
that way
The
for
championship was given
motocross
to
when
him
Dylan won it.
because he didn't win the
Exactly.
championship. He was given the
He
championship.
was given to him.
Yeah,
and
I guess. Like Peirre said, you got to be in it to win it. None of us are naive to that whatsoever.
Yeah, dude,
But-
and he's fast. There's no one
He's super
saying that
fast.
he's not fast and he's not an amazing
But he should have been number
athlete.
2 guy. He should have been number 2 in Supercross.
Yeah.
That's just the
Yeah.
way it was.
Just
I mean,
what
they
it
both
is.
had a 50-point lead over third place or whatever it was.
Yeah.
But to Peirre's point, though, how come when Blake Baggett came out with number 4, he didn't get the same level of respect? See, that to me is where number 4 is always going to be Ricky Carmichael, no matter
Yeah.
who's in that number. Now, to your point, if Sexton gets on a rampage and wins the next 4 championships over the next 5 years, they'll say, yep, he deserved number 4. He wore the number 4 well. He represented it well, because Ricky did it on a Honda, he did it on a Cowie, and he did it on a Suzuki. Pretty
Right.
hard to argue with that, right?
Right.
But then when Baggett went to number 4, people literally said, man, how cocky and arrogant is that? Well, for
Totally.
freak's sake, man, he had an opportunity to get a single digit number. It was available, but no, because it's cloaked with Ricky Carmichael, I guess unless you have 7 championships, you shouldn't move into that number. And I was like, well, damn, he doesn't get the benefit of the doubt. And of course, now he has to drop his elbow because his wrist is fused.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's like, just didn't
Look,
fit the number 4.
And that's